Look down at what you are wearing right now. A shirt, trousers, socks. You did not think twice about putting them on this morning. But you are the only animal on this entire planet that does this. No other creature makes coverings and puts them on its body. Only us. So somewhere in our deep past, a human put on the very first piece of clothing. Why? What made naked apes decide to start covering up? The obvious answer is cold. We wore clothes to keep warm, and that is part of it. But the real story is far stranger and much older. Because to need clothes at all, something bizarre had to happen to us first. We had to lose the coat we were born with. Every other mammal in the cold has fur. We are the naked ape. And the story of clothing begins with the mystery of why we took our fur off in the first place. Go back over 1 million years. Our ancestors were losing their body hair, and it was not an accident. It was one of the best upgrades our species ever made. Early humans became long-distance hunters, chasing prey across hot open land until the animals overheated and collapsed. To do that, we needed to dump heat fast. Fur traps heat. Bare skin, covered in millions of sweat glands, releases it. So we traded our coat for the ability to sweat and run under a burning sun. For a long time in the warm heart of Africa, this was perfect. A naked, sweating, tireless hunter needed no clothes at all. But then some of us began to wander, out of the warm cradle, toward colder and colder lands, and suddenly, being naked was a death sentence. Here is the strange trap we had built for ourselves. We had spent 1 million years perfecting bare skin for the heat. Now we needed to be warm again, and our fur was long gone. We could not simply grow our coat back. Evolution is slow, and the cold was here now. We needed a faster answer, and being clever apes, we found one. So when did we finally cover up? For a long time, no one could say. Cloth and animal hide rot away. They almost never survive in the ground. The first clothes left almost no trace at all. So to find them, scientists had to get clever. And their answer came from a tiny, itchy passenger. The human louse. There are two kinds that live on us. Head lice, which live only in the hair on your head. And body lice, which are different. Body lice do not live on skin or hair at all. They live and lay their eggs in one very specific place, clothing. Think about what that means. Body lice could not exist until there were clothes for them to live in. They are a parasite that evolved to live in our garments. So a body louse is a living fossil of clothing. Figure out when body lice split off from head lice, and you find the moment humans first wore clothes. Scientists led by Mark Stoneking read the DNA of lice and used it as a molecular clock, counting the mutations backward to find that split. The answer was staggering. Humans have been wearing clothes for at least 170,000 years, long before we ever left Africa. That is far older than farming, older than cities, older than written words. Clothing is one of humanity's most ancient inventions. And it is humbling to think that we know this at all thanks to a bug too small to see. A tiny parasite quietly kept the diary of our clothes for us. The lice that annoy us today are in a strange way witnesses. Their whole existence is proof of the day a cold, clever ape first decided to cover its skin. And this timing is no coincidence. Around then, our ancestors were preparing to walk out of Africa into the freezing unknown. Clothing was the technology that set us free. A portable, removable coat we could put on in the cold and take off in the heat. Other animals are locked into one climate by the fur they are born with, but a human with clothes could survive almost anywhere on Earth. With clothes, we crossed frozen plains, climbed into mountains, and pushed all the way to the edges of the Ice Age world. Cloth conquered the planet. But at first, clothing was crude, just a hide thrown over the shoulders, held on with a hand, warm but clumsy and full of gaps for the cold to sneak in. Then came a small invention that changed everything. A needle with an eye threaded so it could stitch two pieces of hide flawlessly together. Around 40,000 years ago, humans learned to sew, and suddenly clothing was no longer draped. It was tailored, shaped to fit the body, sealed against the wind. Fitted clothing was a survival superpower. It let humans lock in their warmth completely and settle in places so cold no naked creature could last a night. The Neanderthals, our cold-hardened cousins, wrapped themselves in hides to endure the Ice Age. But it may have been our finely sewn, fitted clothing that helped us outlast even them. Think about it. Two kinds of human faced the same killing cold, and the ones who could sew a tighter, warmer suit were the ones who walked out the other side. One of the oldest needles ever found came from a deep Siberian cave, a place of brutal, killing cold. Sewing was not decoration, it was how you stayed alive. With a needle and thread, a human could build a whole warm world to carry on their back. Boots, hoods, mittens, layered coats, sealed against the harshest winters on Earth. An animal in that cold could only shiver in hope. A human simply reached for another layer. We had turned survival into something we could pick up and put on. But here's where the story turns strange, because clothing very quickly became about far more than staying warm. The moment we could cover ourselves, we began to decorate. Ancient humans strung beads, painted hides, and wore pigments long before they needed to. A covering that started as protection became a canvas, a way to say who you were without speaking a single word. Clothing turned into a language. It could show your tribe, your rank, whether you were a leader or a hunter, married or free, all stitched into what you wore. A piece of cloth could mean status, wealth, belonging, or belief. We had invented a second skin, and onto it we wrote our entire identity. Kings wore colors no one else was allowed to touch. Warriors wore the marks of their battles. Whole cultures could be read at a glance, just from the cloth on their backs. The tool we invented to trap body heat had quietly become one of the most powerful social signals our species ever created. Warmth was only the beginning. And over thousands of years, this second skin grew so deep into us that something flipped. Clothing stopped being optional. For most of human history, being naked in front of others became one of our strongest taboos. The covering we invented became the thing we feel undressed and exposed without. Think about that. We are the naked ape, the animal that lost its fur, and yet we are also the animal that feels wrong being bare. We invented a fur we could never take off. A monkey feels nothing about being seen without clothes. To a human, it can feel like the most vulnerable thing in the world. That is how completely clothing rewrote us. You live inside this ancient invention every single day without ever noticing how strange it is. Every outfit you choose is a quiet message. The hoodie, the suit, the uniform, the dress. You are speaking a language that began in the Ice Age. When you dress up to feel confident or hide in baggy clothes on a hard day, you are using a tool your ancestors invented to survive the cold, now aimed at your own heart. A uniform can make a stranger trust you. A single color can mark a team, a nation, a mourning. We still read each other through cloth exactly as our ancestors did. The whole vast world of fashion, of brands, of dressing to belong or to stand out is just the newest chapter of a story that began with one shivering ape and a hide. Clothing protects your body from the weather, yes. But it also protects something else. It wraps your identity, your mood, and your place in the world. So the next time you get dressed, pause for just 1 second and feel how old the moment really is. You are repeating something a naked, shivering ancestor did 170,000 years ago when they first pulled a hide around their shoulders and stopped the cold. You are the naked ape that outsmarted the cold, not by growing back your fur, but by inventing a skin you could put on, take off, and make entirely your own.